Hi to everybody and their neighbor. Welcome back to Gear and Gigs, your favorite podcast. I'm here with Stacy Venn. You know him, you love him. One of the blues players that we like to have on the show. Today we're going to be doing a little review. We're going to be looking at the all-important Suhr Discovery analog delay. I'm trying to sound facetious, but I can't. I love the thing. It's just really good. So I've let the cat out of the bag. My review is thumbs up. I really like it a lot. However, Stacy, skeptical, very skeptical. Sorry, I got a lot of guitar on. Skeptical guy, not into pedals at all. Doesn't like pedals, doesn't use pedals. I'm going to try to convince him to use a pedal, and this is the one I'm going to try to convince him to use today. Stacy, how you doing?
All right. I'm doing great. How are you doing, Jet?
I'm great. I'm great as always. Welcome to the show. All right, so we've got the Suhr Discovery delay. It's all analog. It's got a little different flavor to it than other delays in the past, and yet it harkens back to some other ones that you may know, you may have heard of, you may have played or heard on albums. It's got a little of that, a little of the tape thing, but a little bit more of the electro harmonics thing, maybe. You know, it's got some flavor to it of its own, but it definitely has some throwback feel to it too. So see what you think. I've got it set up right now with 395 millisecond delay, which is nice because you can dial it up actually by the millisecond, so you can tap tempo. I'm not going to go into all the features. You guys probably already know all that. You can look it all up. What we're here to do is to listen to the sound and see if we can convince a skeptic. All right, so here we go. Here's our dry sound. We're using a reissue of what is this, Stace?
Les Paul Junior.
Les Paul Junior. Thank you very much. Pity P90 limited edition. Nice guitar, all around nice guitar, but basically a plank, some strings, and a pickup. It's as simple a guitar as you can get, and simple sounds awesome. We're going through a Boogie Fillmore through the clean channel, literally everything vertical on the channel except for the master volume, a little amp reverb, tube mic, couple of preamp and adapter thing. I mean A to D's going into the computer. Here's what it sounds like. Oh, and let me turn off this mic. Hang on. So it doesn't suck a lot. It's a good tone. There's no other pickups to change. There's nothing else I can do. I can roll the tone down or something, but that's our sound for right now. So we're going to kick a little delay on, as I said, about 395 and see what you think. All right, so initial impressions.
Well, I'd like, sounds good as far as that kind of a thing. So, I mean, does it?
Don't get technical out of the game, man. Try to take it slow.
Well, so, I could see where that would be really handy in some situations, but I'm sure it does other delay things too. Does it do?
Nope, that's the only one it does. Amazingly, it's hardwired at 395, and the knobs don't move. You'd really think that they would do more. No, let's set it up for a slapback. Let's set it up for a little slapback.
Yeah, something.
I know how you like slapping.
I do like slapping.
That didn't come out. All right, 120 I got you for. Here you go.
Right.
Ooh. Let me turn the generation down so we don't get the one, right? Let me turn the mix down a little bit. Let me turn up my mic. It's inspiring. It's got a real musical sound, don't you think? It doesn't
Got a
sound like the
nice,
guitar. It
nice
sounds like
slap.
this other thing, but that's
Yeah,
good.
it's
It doesn't sound exactly the same. It's like this other person playing with you almost.
yeah, yeah. It seems there's some kind of a different modulation or something in the slap.
I'm glad you said modulation. Let's look at the modulation because there's a complete modulation section. So let's take it back
Okay.
to like let's go up to 500, somewhere in there,
Hmm.
in the 500 range, right? And let's roll up our regeneration just a little bit. Keep our mix kind of medium. But now we got a little modulation. I'm going to go to the extreme ranges so we can see how far it can go. So it's not super crazy. I got to turn my mic off. It's not super crazy. I'll mess with the knobs a little bit so you get an idea. So at the extreme range, and if you set it slow enough that you can really hear it,
Hmm.
you can do it. But even in that, in the context of playing, I doubt it would be that extreme sounding. If you really
Yeah,
stop and nothing else is going on, you can hear kind of that thing. But in the
yeah,
mix of it, it's very chorusy and pleasant, kind of.
yeah. No, that sounds really could be inspiring and have you
Ooh, I
there's
think
something
I,
going
I
on there.
sensed a little breakthrough, people. Did you sense that right then? Just a little bit, a little bit. The
Well,
wall just crumbled a
yeah,
little bit,
yeah.
little dust on the side, right? We heard that. I'm gonna turn the
Well,
modulation down to a more reasonable level. Reasonable. I shouldn't say it that way. To a more middle level.
yeah, that's very nice.
It's pleasant, isn't it?
It's
Oh,
a
it's my
yeah,
headphones.
yeah.
My bad. Let me turn that mic off.
Well, how complicated is the interface? Um, can you save that as a setting?
It's real pleasant, isn't it?
So
It's got a nice
yeah,
sound.
yeah. It sounds really good. Is that how complicated?
Well, basically, you got seven knobs plus some switches,
Okay.
but you got seven knobs. You got the basic normal culprits of regeneration, mix, and time, right? Time being the big fat knob in the middle, and then you've got a modulation section, which is two knobs: the speed and then the depth of the modulation, which you've just heard, and then you have an EQ section, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
So we haven't looked at that. There's
Yeah.
two knobs, a high and a low EQ. So let's look at that for a second. Right now, everything's is
Okay.
is set at maximum frequency response, right? So we're getting the whole thing, but you can tailor it to sound more like a tape EQ or an old analog EQ. So let's do that.
Mhm.
So I'm going to roll off some of the highs and some of the lows to kind of pinch the sound. So what comes back as the echo is going to be a little bit more mid-rangey sounding, but that's what old bucket brigade delays used to do. They'd have to roll off a little bit of both ends. So let's listen to that. the modulation is really sweet when it gets in there. Let me turn the modulation off. All right, I like that. Nobody steal that riff. I like that riff. Oh, great! I already forgot it. Great.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. It's like, oh, I really like that. What was it?
What was it? Luckily, I did it in front of you guys.
It's
all
recording.
Right. So pinching the sound, or I call it pinching, changing the EQ of the delay can really change it quite a bit. Let me go to some longer delays that you don't normally get out of an analog. It has a pleasant roll off each generation that goes through. It's got a softness, a lack of harshness. It feels more like an instrument than a pedal from a player standpoint. You know, and we haven't gotten into distortion and everything else, but with distortion, I've used it, and it's really sweet. It melds with the guitar sound really well. It doesn't seem like it's the same sound. It seems like it's very complementary with it, and it's really easy to use. At first glance, I agree, it does look a little overwhelming for a pedal, but in use, it's really not. You pretty much find your EQ setting that you like, you know. You find how much modulation you want and at what speed for the most part, and then you're mostly just messing with delay times and that kind of thing. 1100 milliseconds, so it'll do, you know, that's what last setting was.
Right.
And
does it can you save things as a
it does. You
patch?
Can do presets.
Okay.
Yes, you can do presets. You can access them from the front in multiple ways. You can MIDI it. It's got full MIDI, so you can do all that. It's got tap tempo from the front as well, so you can just do that real easy. So you could just set up, for a live setup, you could just set up a basic tone that you use, tap in at the beginning of every song in the first 8 bars, and away you go. You know, you can hook up an expression pedal and control, I think, basically anything on it. I think any knob that you want, you can control with an expression pedal. So, you know, sky's the limit as far as control and MIDI and all that kind of stuff. It'll respond to all kinds of inputs. It has a subdivision switch, so you can set that based around your tap tempo, so you can set
You can do dotted eighth.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. And you can change the waveform of the modulation to do different things, square wave, sine wave, that kind of thing. So
Yeah. Well, I'm not. I might be a pedal skeptic, but I'm not a pedal
Phobic?
denier.
Pedal denier. Right. Well, good. You agree that they exist. Hey, we're making progress, people. It's
well,
It's
And
useful.
I tried to put together a pedal board with the things that I felt like were really good, equipment. And that was a abject failure because I went back to a Boss ME70 that's multi effect.
Okay, so there's the kind of sound I would go for.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, that kind of thing you could leave on all night, right? Keep it on during your whole night because it just fills in the blanks. Yeah, yeah, that's very good. Very nice.
Not too much boinginess.
Yeah.
It's just got a real satisfying. Doesn't get in the way. Doesn't ever
Hmm.
get unless you have to mix up to it. It really doesn't get overwhelming. It doesn't start to fight with you too hard. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's I like that about that. It's just complimentary.
There you
Not
go. There you go. I agree. I
not
agree. I'm very big fan. It's an expensive pedal, but man, I think it sounds boutique. It doesn't hurt your tone any. I
mm.
mean, it just sounds just the same with the pedal on or off. It's got a nice buffer in it. We're running 40 foot of cable right now, and it's got a really nice buffer in it, which you can turn on or off. And yeah, I'm a big fan. So have we sold you on the pedal?
You pretty much.
Wow!
Yeah.
Woohoo!
I'd
Yes.
like to. I mean, coming from a pedal that was too, it would kind of depend on the complexity of it. It sounds like it's not that complex. You just
It
dial
really
it in,
isn't.
and
It
if you
really
like it,
isn't
and
that
save
complex.
it. Because I had the Strymon
Timeline.
timeline.
Yeah,
Yeah,
much more
and
complex.
I'm just go.
Yeah,
I,
yeah. It's complex.
I like that guitar because guess what? It's
Yeah, it's very
simple.
simple. It's simple, and it is. I think of this pedal as pretty simple, honestly, because it's set and forget.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that you can't get wild, runaway, cool feedback things. You can do all that
Hmm.
crazy self oscillation.
Right.
It does all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. All that, and you can do
Hmm.
all the speed changing things, this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Probably not going to use that, but could. You never know. Never say
The
never,
fun of
right?
doing that is to wait till it's almost faded out and then catch it with the regeneration and bring it back again in some other noisy or crackly way, and then be like, yeah,
Right, right.
if you do it for half an hour, eventually you get this cool train sound. No matter what you've played into it, if you do it right, you can get
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So it does all that.
yeah.
It's easy to use. It's like I said, it's not cheap. But man, it sounds good. Well, anyway, so we've sold in the pedal, the Suhr discovery delay. Now he's going to have to save his pennies and go grab one of those. But hey, we finally
Yeah,
did it.
yeah.
When next we meet, we will try to sell the skeptic of pedals yet another pedal. This one's going to be tough to outdo. I think it's pretty good, pretty darn good.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Scale of 1 to 10. What do you give this one?
I'd say before trying it out totally, I'd give it an 8, 8.5.
Wow. An 8 over Zoom, that's like a 12 in real life. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
Sounds good.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for joining me, Stacy. For Stacy,
right,
then,
thank
I'm
you.
Jet Stone. We'll see you next time on Gear and Gigs. So glad you could join us for another episode of Gear and Gigs. Take a moment to like and subscribe, and don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube. Until next time, take care.